perfect timing. You obviously don't go on live while Hiller is on live doing no reps because that would just be crazy. That's how you never get anything there. All right, Matt, let me bring you in here. There we go. How
All
you
right.
doing?
Good, brother. How are you doing?
Awesome. Dude, I am great. We're live right now, as you probably know, it might have said on your screen, but in case you didn't, here we
Yeah.
go. I was giving it a little bit of time, a little bit of breather. I was like, let's see how long Hiller will stay live for. He had the 1,000 people on there as he's doing no reps. It was insane.
Yeah, exactly.
I was like, dude, this is, and it was funny because I knew as soon as they announced like all the semifinal people would have to put all their shit like on display.
Yeah.
I was like, man, this is 100% going to be Hiller's time of year because
Yeah.
everybody is just going to get blasted.
Funny enough, is I'm also participating on the online judges team.
Oh, you are? Awesome.
I did last year as well. So I figured, to put my money where my mouth is, if I'm going to comment on these reps or whether it's in the chat or online, I volunteered last year and or got a part of it. I actually volunteered a couple of years back for the Legends competition, and then Joe and those guys sent me over to Drake and so last year I helped participate into that. So it was cool. I figured, hey, I have a lot of experience, obviously, so I might as well put my money where my mouth is and help out, and so make sure that standards are upheld. So Hiller could be happy.
Dude, that's awesome. And just to give a little insight on people and like kind of how we got here. So I'll let you kind of give us a little bit of your background, Matt. But some of you guys know Mr. Burns here from the chat. Also, his wife, the Sabbath Essentials. So yes, they're huge supporters of the crew in the show. And it was funny because you're an L3, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. So Matt's got a lot of hours coaching. He's an L3 and kind of just I think he just shot me a DM and you're like, hey dude, like, have you ever thought about kind of doing this class review thing? And like, it was like a lightning bolt in my brain. I was like, this is brilliant. Yes.
When I DM'd you, I'm like, if he wants to do it, cool. If not, I didn't expect you. I know to have time or whatever, but I know you had put it in some of your classes and I'm like, well, shoot, maybe this is something he wanted to help fill some time in for his channel, at least for anything. And I'm always, up to try to continue to push forward a little bit, up my game a little bit. And, again, if I'm critical of other things, whether it's, on things online or judging movement or whatever, I might as well put my money where my mouth is. And also, I'm eventually going to take the L4. So it's good prep for me as well to, put myself on that particular pedestal where I'm recording it, have other people look at it. So it adds a little bit extra kind of pressure, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
Not really pressure.
Right. It's kind of just the accountability factor. You're like, hey, if I'm going to go out there and give feedback to all this stuff, like I'm not going to hide everything that I'm doing. I'll put it out there and, we could all even the playing field. And that's the way that I felt when I started doing a little bit of my classes too. Like, I haven't done a ton of them yet. And I've worked a little bit on the technology piece of it because when someone gets back from his travel, we're going to be utilizing our classes for some testing of all the live stream we'll be doing. So yeah, it was funny. I was like, dude, we have endless heats that we could practice on here because it's just an hour after an hour of a class, right? So you guys will get to see a little bit more of that. But that was kind of the same reason why I recorded my class. I was like, I talk a lot of it out here, like of owning an affiliate, the experiences I had, how I kind of run my gym, and I figured there's no better way than just to kind of let you inside of the class and just show you by live streaming it. But yeah, so when you came up with the idea, I liked it a lot. This is going to be a little bit different than necessarily how Hiller does it with McCoy. Like the purpose of these for me wasn't necessarily just to give like a ton of feedback as if like I'm the L4 and he's prepping for this. The idea was basically just to get some insights on how people run their classes. And mostly will be when we talk and ask questions to Matt here, it's mostly going to be just him giving us his insight in his commentating on what was going on, what he was thinking about, like all that type of stuff.
I think, you had mentioned it before, which, I want to give you and Savon and everybody else tons of credit because, I've been in this space for a long time. And I tell you about, I hit a low point when I owned the gym for 5 years, right when that COVID was starting to end. And then everything was kind of starting to deteriorate a little bit. And then you guys started ramping up, Chase and Bill getting, everybody's all in back to the cult and just started revitalizing at least for me, as feeling as an OG, I mean, whatever that means, just being around, I guess old being forever was really encouraging again. And that's really why I'm so like supportive of you guys. And since you're supportive of everybody else, it's just been really cool and reinvigorating again. And, you know, like Jenny doing stuff like that as well. Just like, hey, you know, just because you guys are now athletes or whatever, and you've been around for 3 years, you know, there are a lot of us that have been around for way longer than there was grips to use at the pull-up bar, you know?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And, you know, we were on rusty barbells and you had one rower for the gym and, you know, stuff like that where you're like, oh my God, we have to row today. You know, we didn't have assault bikes. It was maybe a Schwinn Aerodyne if you're lucky.
Yep.
You know?
Old school.
Right, exactly. So it's kind of like, and you guys I remember you had mentioned something about, you know, rising tides raise all ships, and that was kind of one of the reasons why I was like, well, hey, let's do this, and I'll throw mine out there. Maybe somebody else will throw those out there, and we can also continue to learn off each other. You know, I know for me it was like I was always blown away. Did my L1 in 2011, and then took my L2 with it was Chuck and Jenny in like in 12, I think it was.
That's
2012,
awesome.
and just blown away how good everybody was. You know, it's like I always wanted to be a red shirt. It was just like the pinnacle of being a coach and how just so cool cool it was, and just how smart they were, and just how well they executed everything. And they're always it felt like so much. If I could be half the coach as Chuck would be, I'd be good if I was just half as good as him. You know?
Yeah.
So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Well, I know some of the people are saying there was like some kickback on the mic there. Guys, what I tried to do is Travis, I think there's some I tried to reduce his background noise. So it should take care of it or at least help a little bit.
I can log in with a lapel if you want.
No, I think it'll be okay. If it starts to give us too much feedback, maybe let's try that. And they'll for sure let us know in the comments.
Oh, they'll let us know.
They always do. So basically we're just going to kind of dive right into it. I also want to make this open. So if you're watching this live now, or you're watching in a retrospect and you would like to just come on here and kind of showcase your coaching, review a class, have a conversation about what you do and why, and the different nuances from gym to gym, I would love to host you. So basically the requirements to do this is you just need a camera and your ability to just film yourself in class. Ideally, we would have like some sort of mic just so we could hear you as you move. But I'll be honest, once the class gets going, we might not have the volume too much on this, just because I know when I watched back some of the class that I was reviewing, it was like my own class. When we get loud and you're like 1 minute, 2 minutes, you're like blowing out the mic and it's super loud.
Everything, I'm screaming, you know.
Exactly. So we'll be conscious of that in the feedback to it. But basically, we're just gonna kind of go through. We'll watch it at a little bit of a higher clip speed. We'll jump around a little bit, and just facilitate some general discussion here.
100%. It's cool.
All right. Awesome. What Judy say? No one said anything when Fronty Mike was funky. Yeah, no, you just when it's rich, you just deal with it.
Yeah, it's rich.
Yeah,
I have a mayhem shirt on. That's about it. That's about supposed to be rich.
Perfect. See, Ken gets it. The goat gets a pass.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. Good morning, Heidi. Glad you joined us. All right, so let's go ahead and share it up and we'll get it moving.
All right.
Oh man, the audio is still having an issue, huh? Okay, so let's try this mode. Ah, there we go. I fixed it from the last time I had it. All right, cool. So we'll be hanging down here at the bottom while this class goes. I'm not sure what our volume level is at, but get it. Okay. So real quickly, Matt, just go ahead and give us just a little context. What day is it? What class
this is
time
actually
is
last Friday, 25.1. So I figured it was a good class to maybe everybody could resonate because we all did it. So, you know, setting up the whiteboard brief, going through a general warm up and stuff like that. Maybe see how you could do, or how we did anyway, or how I did one workout instead of a strength piece and a workout that's only 15 minutes into a class, how we can fill that. So yeah, so let's rock and roll. I think the first couple minutes we're probably gathering everybody up to the whiteboard, so I'm not exactly sure when the brief starts on our ticker.
Okay, we'll skip around it.
All right, cool.
Dive right in.
All right, 9 o'clock. Let's ready to rock and roll.
Awesome. Can you hear it on your end at all?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, I can.
Perfect.
Yeah. Perfect. This is actually the first time I watched.
Good deal.
Yeah, so I'll be like, damn it, I missed that.
No, that's perfect. That's what it's all about.
Yep.
So we'll speed this up just a hair here.
75 minutes hard. 75 hours. Sorry, not 75. You made 75 hours hard.
So general gathering. So how is it with your...
As much as I love for you guys to socialize, I think that's really awesome. But we do need to get going.
That's what I wanted.
Yeah.
That's okay with you guys, right?
I'm not sure how you guys.
All right. Good morning, everybody. How we doing? Friday, fun day, first day of the Open.
Okay, great. So let's talk about that real quick. That's exactly what I was hoping would happen because with every coach, you deal with that a little bit. And I love it because it does not matter like your level of coaching, how long you've been doing it, whatever. Like once you build that personal relationship with your members, you know what I mean? It's a personal relationship. So when you're at the whiteboard, like, hey guys, we're getting ready to start. They're kind of like, yeah, we'll get there with our conversation.
And it's cool because that's what it's all about, right? They're right. Each other. They know it's the open workout, right? Because it's just Friday. It's 25.1, so they're all talking about it. So yeah, it's really cool. We had a bigger group today for 9 a.m. for this. So yeah, we want them to socialize, but at the same time, we got to get it going eventually.
Yes, and that's a great point that you made there because as coaches, especially like if you have a lot of stuff going on or whatever the case may be, right? Like you just there's just a lot of stuff that happens. So then the whole entire deal is like, hey, we don't want to let that frustration at all leak out on our end because like Matt said, like they're there to socialize. We want them to socialize. We want them to make connections. But at the same time, you still have a class to run. So like I thought you did a great job, Matt, when you were just like, hey guys, I love that you're chatting. That's also great, but we do have a workout to get through. So finding the balance between getting your class together and queued up without making too much of like an issue with it.
So you might get a lot of feedback on my mic.
Only when I talk for whatever reason.
Okay.
I'm not really sure why that is. So I'll just.
No worries.
It seemed to stop now. Oh, it's done.
Okay.
Maybe it was just echoing off the way your phone was set up.
I haven't moved my phone.
Wow. All right. Then the internet gods may be with us. Okay. So here we go. So we're gathering up the class and we'll get into the workout debrief now.
Yep.
All that really means for a lot of us is that we get to do a workout that the whole global community is doing. Really, if you guys want to look at it this way, it's just another workout. Thank you. It's just another training day, another workout piece. Some of you guys may want to take to use this as an assessment of where you are currently in your CrossFit journey. That's all it is, right? Don't stress about it. It's nothing any more difficult or easier or harder than any other workout that we've been doing, right? It's CrossFit. We're CrossFitters. That's what we do. It's a triplet. It's a 15-minute AMRAP, so as many rounds of reps as possible in 15 minutes. 3 lateral burpees over a dumbbell. You guys came yesterday. You probably did a bunch of lateral burpees.
Did you guys have the same workout? Oh, shit. Did we lose him? Hashtag he's out. I was watching this and I didn't see what he took away. Okay. Maybe Matt will be with us shortly. We're reviewing his class. He's definitely reading the comments.
Sorry.
There he is. Is he back? Okay. Awesome. Man, I don't know why that echo thing's coming. I'll just mute myself when I talk and then I'll unmute you when you go, and that'll be all right. That'll be our fix. No big deal. So I was laughing. Did you guys program burpees the day or two before? Then the burpee showed up in the open workout.
Oh yeah, of course. It's funny. We actually do Sentinel 60, and for the gym, and we had one of the conditioning pieces Taylor had programmed. And instead of it was like rowing and bike erg. Well, we only have one bike erg. So we have a bunch of assault bikes, but we did assault bike earlier in the week, whatever. And so one of the other guys that does the program, he's like, hey, let's switch it out for burpees. And I'm like, okay.
You're like,
sure
I know. Yeah, you know what's coming from that, right? As soon as you switch it for those burpees. All right, so we'll keep on moving through here.
Yep.
I knew as soon as Brian switched to that, I knew that's what was going to happen. Then we're going to do 3 dumbbell hang clean to overhead. I'll go through the standards in the movement. We'll demonstrate that when we get to the floor. And then we do 30 feet of walking lunges. Okay. On the walking lunge, we're going to go 15-foot increments, 15 foot out, 15 foot back. Okay. So it'll be really simple for a lot of us. It's not too challenging in that way where it's complex in the numbers and all that. The one thing we're going to do is the reps will go up by 3 for your burpees and your hang or your clean to overhead. Okay. From the hang position. So it's 3, then 6. It'll be 3, 3, 30, 6, 6, 30, 9, 9, 30. What's that? What's after 12? What's after 12? With true, 18 is after 12. That is correct. But
Nice. It's funny. I do those check-ins too, right? Because you're just basically like wanting to make sure you're not speaking into the void. And I always have them do like a little callback. So I'm like, it goes by 2 to 4 to 6, and then they're kind of like 8 and 10. And you're like, okay, got it. You guys are at least paying attention to this portion. I don't know how many times you get through your class and somebody looks up and they're like, what is it next?
Yeah, what are we doing?
Yeah.
Doesn't matter how long you coaching or how long, you're always going to come. It's crazy.
Yeah. Oh, Kenneth thinks who's foam rolling during your talk? I don't mind that if people do that. Do you not mind that either, Matt?
No, not at all. I don't mind them foam rolling. What I do mind is the Theragun. Yeah, let's not Theragun while the coach is going over the whiteboard. Theragun's like a shotgun in there. So that's a little bit more challenging.
Yeah, I agree. I typically don't mind if people are kind of foam rolling or stretching as long as there's someone engaged. But pretty much like the only annoying thing is when you try to do a quiet side conversation, because then it's like it's not that quiet. And now I'm trying to read, but I can only focus on the two of you guys like having this little side talk or whatever. So for those of you guys, when you get around for the whiteboard debrief, be there for the whiteboard debrief. If you want to go talk or you need to go do something, step aside so you're clearly out of earshot. The coach will mucho appreciate it. All right, we'll go back in.
The typical Keegan math. Okay. So the low walking lunge distance will stay the same. Okay. The reps will up. Correct. Okay. I'll double check on that if it's 5 feet or if it's one distance. I think it's one distance is one. All right. 35 pounds for the ladies on the RX, 50 pounds for the guys. Okay. On your scale division, 20 pounds for the female, 15 pounds for the men. Okay. If you're over 55, which some of you are, I'll double check. There's also an additional scaling for over 55. So I'll double check the weight. But I think it's going to be 20. I think it's going to be 20 for you guys. Okay. See, as you can see, age division. Okay. Just one dumbbell.
Oh, but the soccer mom's at 9.
Yeah, I was gonna say now you get all the chirping, right? It's like half the time you didn't even sure if they were paying attention, and then like as soon as you stop and you're like, okay, so we set all these questions come out, right? That's awesome. What'd you say? I would say when you're going over the workout, don't interrupt yourself. Sure. For me not interrupt. Sorry, we're gonna break it down. Souza never lets me foam roll. Heidi, that's a lie. You've never been to one of my classes either. Don't act like you have. Soccer moms? Oh, yeah. All right, we'll go back into the whiteboard debrief.
Oh, my. You've been doing this now. How many times have you done burpees and lunges? 20. Use it as an assessment. Where are you at currently for 15 minutes? Look at it as our yearly test assessment. That's all it is. Just like you go to the doctor, they draw blood. Here, we're going to get some data and see how your fitness is for this year at this point. That's all. Okay?
I love how everybody freaks out about it as if it didn't have the open workout in front of it and this was just your normal Friday workout, you would probably have 20 less questions, right?
Exactly. It would be no big deal. Be like, oh, it's not weighted lunges? Come on, man.
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
It's so funny with the open stuff.
Also, if anybody has any injuries, ailments, or limitations that's going to prohibit us from doing any of these movements, please tell me. And then we can modify. We're not going to make you do them just because it's an open workout. I'm not going to make you do any of that if you have something that's going to be bothering you. Okay, we good? All right, cool. All right, so for our warm up, we're going to start.
Okay, awesome. All right, so just a quick, we'll update our banners here so people kind of know where we're at too. Okay, so whiteboard stuff, it was good. I thought you hit all the stuff there. Obviously, like the big ones is like just explaining the workout, asking if there's questions, and then letting people know like, hey, we'll modify it. One of the things that I really like that you said here is like, hey, even though it's the open, if you got something going on, like, come let me know. We'll scale around and we'll adjust it.
Yeah, that's a big thing. I've been doing a lot of like just studying up for L4 stuff. And even when Taylor's on, I'll actually text Taylor sometimes or DM him and stuff. I mean, like, they're big on injuries, ailments, or limitations, right? Addressing that at the whiteboard. So this way you can assess during the general warm-up, specific warm-up, and start getting a plan as the things unfold, knowing that there's already limitations, right? So you already have a scales in mind of what you're going to do. Instead of waiting until like 2 minutes before the workout and somebody goes, I can't do this. right? So really having that already adjusted, or at least having that conversation as the class begins, and we building into that. So, and so that's I think it's important.
Yeah, I completely agree. Like, I don't think a lot of times as coaches, like you could use and you should use your whole entire lesson plan as you're building up as like a crystal ball to look into the future of like, okay, am I going to have to adjust this person's movement? Are they going to need a little more help here or there? And then on top of that, like you were saying, if you ask the questions of like, hey, who's going to be having some limitations, who's working around, whatever, and they kind of give the hand, you're like, okay, awesome. I'll check back in with you guys. So that way you're developing and you've given yourself that buffer and gotten out ahead of yourself. Because we all know every class, if you don't do that, and sometimes even if you do, you're gonna have somebody who right before you're getting ready to start, and you're like, water, bathroom break, whatever the case is, they're like, I can't do XYZ. And you're like,
Yeah, exactly.
we're gonna go through this right now. But yeah, so getting out ahead of yourself as much as possible. So with this portion of it here, as we go through, guys, I'm going to speed this up a tad, as we're not going to really hear Matt talk as much as we're just going to kind of watch them move. It will be at 1.5 speed, so obviously everybody will be moving a lot quicker, and then we'll adjust the volume as necessary on our end. So we're getting into warm up
on
now.
a bike. All right, we're gonna do a minute on a bike, then we're gonna do a minute on the Samson stretch. So on the Samson stretch, right, big stride, sink the hips down, and stretch. Okay, so we're really trying to open up the hip flexors. Then we're gonna do inch burn with a push up, feet under the hips, walk out, push up plank, lower that chest, and then pressing through the palms. Walk those hands back. If you need to go to your knees to do the push up, go ahead and do that. Then we'll jump back on the bike for another minute. Then we'll go through the next round together. Cool? All right, so everybody go sit on a bike and we'll get ready to rock and roll.
Sweet. So perfect general warm up there. Basically just utilizing the bike, kind of priming all the major movers that we'll see into the workout, getting that heart rate elevated and what have you there. Any kind of commentary to back that up as far as general warm up stuff? No?
Me or me?
You.
Or
Yeah. You.
what was the question? Sorry.
any warm up stuff, like as far as that goes, like just anything you want to add in here with this portion?
No, I just think that, the general warm up is a great time to start connecting and getting them moving, right? And then also to, what the purpose of the general warm up is, obviously the right core temperature, working on range of motion, but to really start, this is where we chat with them, how they're feeling, are you ready to go, right? And so for coaches to take advantage of that, because a lot of times I see, and even in our own gym, as coaches will kind of check out during that time. I use that to really connect and understand, and then also how they're to adjust movement based off of just simple, hey, let's do Samson's lunge. Monitor how the athlete's looking. Oh, hey, Julie, I really think you're struggling on this Samson stretch. Are you okay? And that's when you can kind of get feedback, and then we can kind of adjust from there. So,
yep, awesome. I love it. Let's see. Judy had a question here. Should people approach the coach prior to class about injuries, limitations? Yes. I mean, if you already know you got something going on, typically like the deal with us and our coaches is like, we basically have everybody, we have the coach available and in front of the class 5 or so minutes ahead of time that is like there for you. Usually we're there like whatever with the board at the board, asking questions and all that type of stuff. And so that is another great time for you to address anything that needs to be addressed. I strongly recommend that.
I'll add too, is like, I think we encourage our athletes, even if they're injured, or have ailments, still come in and then have that conversation with us so we can either help them get through what's going on, or just modify the workout, or just have them do something to help facilitate recovery. Maybe it's like, hey, we just need to ride an easy bike for 20 minutes, stretch out, and that will help us set up for the rest of the week to get us back in here, right? And it still keeps the consistency of them coming into the gym. So I think that conversation is really important.
Yes. And yeah, exactly. And if you know there's something going on, like, hey, I have a doctor's thing because I've been dealing with the shoulder and they told me like don't utilize it for XY amount of weeks. Like Judy, that for sure is something you go get ahead of time, because that's not like something that you're feeling for the day or whatever. That's going to kind of linger for a couple of weeks for you. And the sooner that information gets out to the coaches, the better they could adjust anything that needs to make your workout effective still. All right. Heidi, a question. Does he do a question of the day? So before I let Matt answer there, one of the things is I always make it pretty much like relevant to that day. So what I mean is if I got if I have a bigger class, if I have some other people that are normally in that class time, or if I have somebody that's dropping in from out of town, then typically I'll do like a say your name and then we'll have like a question of the day. I've been really hot on the one interesting fact about yourself that nobody knows. And I leave that up to interpretation as like what they consider interesting. But basically, you just say something about yourself that that most people don't know. And that one's been real interesting because I've gotten people that are like, oh, I had a pilot's license, or oh, I was like a dart throwing champion, and like all this stuff. And some of these members I've known for years, right? So I've really liked that one. But for myself, I typically like, it looks to me, and Matt could jump in a minute here and kind of let us know, but it looks to me like that's kind of his normal crew, his normal 9 a.m. They probably all know each other. They all know him. So like typically, you know, unless you're having fun or you want to fill a little time there, I may not do it with that size of a group.
For me, obviously if we have a new person, I'm going to introduce them to the group. Make sure the group says hello to them. Just kind of have fun with it and really kind of cut the tension a little bit. So this way they feel it. Everybody's at home and everybody knows and using each other's names and stuff like that. But usually in the beginning, I'm going to try to get them moving.
Yeah,
especially 9 a.m. I want them moving first. Well, maybe we'll chat a little bit more while we're warming up in our general warm up. But I want them to start working out and moving because time can get away from you really quick.
Yeah.
Next, you're 12 minutes and you haven't even left the whiteboard yet.
Yeah, and that does happen with some of our bigger groups when we do get into some of the questions. Heidi, I like favorite restaurant. That's a good one. CrossFat likes, I like Would You Rather. Yep. And again, for those of you guys listening to this, if you're like coach, whatever, if you decide that you want to put those in, always make it a simple kind of one word answer. Don't give them too much leeway because you'll have some people that it just might be too much.
Over the weekend ones.
Yeah, exactly. And then you'll have one person that's like nothing, and then you're like, okay, cool. Then you have one person that'll give you a life story, and you're like, oh shit.
Yeah.
We should have done that. Barry McCockiner, I would do marry, fuck, kill. May not be appropriate at all locations.
No, it just depends.
All right, so we're back in here on the warm up. Looks like we're getting everybody moving on the bikes.
If the bikes are full, just grab a rower.
Perfect.
You got enough room in there? Is everybody squeezed in? Of course, easier
so we'll kind of jump around now as we have everybody moving.
For me, I found success, especially recently. I'll put them on a clock.
What's up?
I like to use the EMOMs, like every minute. Like, hey, we're gonna bike for a minute. Hey, we're gonna do interims for a minute, and this way that allows some athletes to move and do more, and other athletes to do a little bit less. They want to be a little bit more static. I find that keeps me on schedule more, especially if the day is loaded with a strength piece and a Metcon. So this way time doesn't get away because everybody can be a little bit flighty sometimes. And next thing you know, one person's done their 3 rounds, the other one's on the first or second movement of the first round.
Yeah, and that's a great point because when you have different fitness levels and some people are just kind of like moving slow, right? Like some people might have already been a couple hours into their day and they're like, I want to get this done. And some people are like, I woke up fucking 40 minutes ago and just still kind of cruising. But yeah, logistically, you will always make it better on yourself. And here's the other thing too, guys, you could always do, if you want to do like a 3 rounds of something, just put a time cap on it, even though it's a warm up. Hey guys, we're going to move here. It's going to be 3 rounds of this or 5 minutes, whichever hits first.
That's awesome. Yeah. Like an AMRAP. Hey guys, 7-minute AMRAP.
Yes, exactly.
Yep. Love that.
Because like Matt, you made this point exactly, but that ability to keep the class together and logistically, like if you're not coming with some sort of game plan, some sort of lesson plan and getting that out ahead of time, you could easily get lost and all of a sudden all your fast people are done, kind of standing around twiddling their thumbs, waiting for the other people, then you start to lose the group.
Yep.
And once you start to lose the group, that's tough. Man, this is gargling. All right, so we'll move here through the warm-up. Now we're kind of getting into, looks like a little bit more of some dynamic mobility there. I liked the warm-up, the bike, the inchworms, all very relevant, all very general, all the movers that they're going to be using in the workout here. Now, Matt, kind of walk us through this portion. What is going on with this? What was that? Just a quick explanation? Hold on, did you mute it? Or there you go.
I muted myself to see because it was crackling on my side.
Yeah, I don't know why it's so bad. Do you have headphones or a lapel you could grab? Maybe let's try that.
I do. You want to give me a break? Give me a minute?
Yeah. I'll drop you off and then we'll let you roll. Started out okay, then it just got progressively more crackling. So also too, a thing that I would like to note that he's doing well is we're still priming even with that dumbbell. And if you notice for this here, it's a primer. So there's not a ton of like necessarily need to see and correct as far as where he's positioning himself. So I like the in the middle of the room with everybody around him here, as opposed to circling them up and then having him to the outside of the circle. I typically only would do the outside of the circle stuff. We're really trying to get in depth and movement into the movement and seeing and correcting, maybe like barbell drills or something. But when it comes to this, okay, we'll try to bring it back in. Oh, still crackling, popping. Let me try to. Oh, you're muted on your end.
All right,
There you
now
go.
I put my microphone in. Can you hear me better?
It does. Yeah, let's see if it doesn't have the crackle as much.
Okay, so far so good. Let me put my lapel on.
Yeah, you sound a lot better too.
Cool.
Awesome. Okay, great. So yeah, so you kind of heard on the back end, like I was just talking about it. It's like having you in the center of the room there is something I like for these warm-up ones. I know people would typically say like, oh, you'd have them around the outside. But again, your focus here is obviously you're always seeing and correcting movement, but you're not as like, this is the warm-up. They're moving with a lighter dumbbell. You just want them to go through the range of motions that they'll be experiencing in the workout, probably taking some notes if I need to jump in to correct anybody later and have that conversation.
Yeah, I think right now they're still in the general warm up. If I can see it correctly, it's on my phone. They're doing just step back lunges, so a little bit more dynamic, but no load yet. So we're going to be moving into the dumbbell part next, unless they're doing strict presses with that. So I think
Yeah, they did the.
So less dynamic, so a little bit more static with the strict press, step back lunges to warm up the movement pattern. Yeah, and then we'll move on to more specific warm up with dumbbell clean and jerks, lateral burpees. And prepping for the workout.
Awesome. And so I just want to note here that from the time that we gathered people over from the class, so there was even a couple minutes of a leeway, to the time that these members are now moving, you can see sweatshirts are coming off, the blood's already flowing. We're only 14 minutes into class. And that's really important because as coaches and as CrossFit coaches in particular, as we want to explain all this stuff and show all this stuff, like you guys have to remember that we're still competing with people that get in the room and they get moving right away and it's high energy and it's high pumped up. So yes, you want to have enough explanation. We want to teach them. We want to show them, but you also need to keep in respect that we want to keep them moving. And I think, Matt, that's something that you had said early on with this.
Yeah. Remember they're here to get, fitness, right? They're there to move. They're here to get in shape. They're here to whatever they're, to work out, so we got to make sure that we remember that. And I was guilty as the next for the first umpteen years of coaching, it's a continual streamlining effect to get better, where you talk too much and then you lose track of where you're at, and then where you're trying to get them to move, and so you can see and correct instead of just sit there and talking about the movement or demoing the whole time. And we've all done those mistakes as we go along, right? So we just get a little bit better and better as the weeks and the days and the hours on the floor get accrue. So
that's 100% right. Jake Chapman, a wise man once told me, always acknowledge a new pair of shoes. Members love it. Yeah, 100%. That's one of my easy go-tos all the time. Is like, you guys will notice it right away, especially if they transition from like the Asics like trainer to like a CrossFit shoe. Like that's a big step, right? So we always make the joke, like as they come by, be like, oh, nice, went with the whatever, like you're official now, like awesome, but that little acknowledgement shows you're paying attention and you notice the details.
100%. Love that.
I think what did Heidi said? Oh, and a haircut, Jake, and then Jake said, I only acknowledge men's haircuts.
Thanks,
Typically, yeah, I will always try to notice that too. Like it's way more usually noticeable on females, like especially if they like do a whole haircut. I'm like, oh, got the hair done, nice, looks good, welcome in, whatever.
I think anytime you can connect with them personally, every time they're in there, the more you can relate to them or build that trust. Right. So now at the end of the day, they're like, oh, he's always seen me. Like if you've been doing this long enough, you'll have athletes go, he always sees what I'm doing. I don't get it.
Yep.
Because you're just so engaged in being on the floor and everything that they do, whether it's shoes or a new shirt or whatever it may be. And this, I think it just builds that connection and trust, and it shows that you care.
Exactly. That's right. It does show. It shows that you're involved and that you care and that you're paying attention to all the little things. Okay, awesome. So we'll kind of move this ahead just a tad here. You guys can see them kind of moving on their screen. So it looks like now we're in some more like more specific stuff. They swapped out what looks like for the dumbbells they might be using in the workout at this point. And that's kind of leading them through some more specific stuff here. But I want you guys to note like the main thing with this, and Matt, you gave me kind of 2 options of 2 classes that you filmed, and I was like, yeah, whichever one, you want to do. You're like, oh, let's go with this Friday. It's more relevant. It's the coach. It's the most recent one.
Yeah.
But I actually, now that we're watching it, I'm really glad that you picked this class, because I feel like what you're showing here, as we're now getting into about 20-minute time frame of that class, maybe a little bit less, is that even with something as simple as a burpee,
Yeah.
you're giving information, you're giving efficiency tips, and you're adding something to the class here.
Yeah. I think that's some of the things that I've learned, especially getting my mindset to like prepare for the L4 for coaches stuff. Whether it's, you could be teaching and getting everybody dialed in. Now, you're not going to go over a burpee every class,
Right.
But there's certain times when, hey, like today, hey, those tips are going to be important and they're going to appreciate it. And now, after you give those tips, have them practice those 2 different things. And that's what we did here is like, hey, there's the 2-step jump and the hop, or there's the slide step with the outside foot and then the hop. And now we're going to go through a couple rounds and just practice this or get a feel for it, which works best for you. It also gets them moving. But now we're coaching, right? Now we're giving them a better option for a workout.
Yep, exactly. And so Gavo efficiency stuff, and you keep them moving. And what I like about this too is like, I think I learned this in one of like the Chris Henshaw seminars I went to a while back, and he was like, you're getting sneaky reps in.
Yeah.
So what's cool about this is Matt's giving efficiency. He gave a couple different options. I was like, hey guys, find your rhythm here, find what's best to move. Okay, we're going to go down. We're going to do a couple reps. I want you guys to go through maybe 5, 6 of them, right? And what he's actually doing too is he's continuing to prime them in the specific movement there. We're adding more reps in to continue to get their heart rate up and to get them ready. And he's also adding a ton of value in terms of the coaching, because this could be a simple movement that's overlooked, but he might have just gave a couple people a few tips that allow that to be a little smoother and stuff that they're going, wow, I've never really thought about that. And that helped a ton during this burpee.
And I think too, a lot of times, a lot of classes or gyms will get enamored with filling the hour with so much stuff that you can't even coach.
Yes.
And that's one of the things that I think that's missing out on certain things for basically dialing in every movement, because that's what we do, right? We want virtuosity, we want better movement, we want more efficiency, and the only way to do that is coach, practice, train, correct before we get into the workout. A lot of times during the workout as well, but giving them a little bit ample opportunity. And again, it's not going to be every day.
Yep.
Right. No, we're not practicing burpees every day, because then people will shoot us.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
You get the revolt.
Right. Exactly. No, I'm not doing that. But, there are value at certain points of just going back to the basics, as Coach Glassman said.
Yep.
As soon as you know the air squat, go back and learn it again. It's virtuosity.
Yep. This is awesome. Yeah. And now we're just continuing to break that movement down even further. A couple of things that I noted that I liked about this is your presence and your ability to command the room there is great, because at no point in time, like if I could just wander in off the street right now, just pretend the back of your shirt doesn't say coach, but if I just wandered in from the street right now, there's no question who's in charge of this class, right? Like I come in and I see you in the middle, I'm like, I know who the coach is. And for me, that's always a litmus test, because you'd be surprised going into some gyms and stuff like that where people are kind of moving and you have to do a double take of like, I wonder who's in charge
They
of this
didn't have a
class
coach
right now.
shirt.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And so with you, it's like, regardless of the coach on the back of the name, you wouldn't even need that. I know who's in command of this class. I'm watching you do it. And so, okay. Yeah. So now it looks like we're switching out for that workout weight. So that was great, because we had a really light weight going through some strict press, just priming up some of those movers. Then we ended up jumping up another weight that allowed them to maybe get some feedback on the movements they were doing, but not so heavy that they weren't able to kind of practice and learn at the same time. Is that the correct flow?
Yes, that is correct.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love the fact too, like just to take another note here, another timestamp, 23 minutes in, right? So we've given them a ton of efficiency, a ton of instruction, but they have been moving the whole entire time.
Yeah, I think that's one thing I wanted to kind of help too is, or it just add to that is a lot of times making sure that your athletes are moving. I'm still working with some of our coaches at my gym because they're newer coaches. It's like, hey, we want them to move.
Mm-hmm.
right? And you don't get enamored, or don't try not to get bogged down with talking too much. Get them to move, see them moving, so you can see and practice your craft of watching, seeing, and correcting, and then give them that, right? And also, like you said, it's adding sneaky reps. Now
Mm-hmm.
they're getting more volume in, and now they're
Mm-hmm.
moving more. And sometimes
Exactly.
also too, it helps to scale and modify, right? If Joey's coming in and going, I'm doing 50s today, bud, and then he can barely do a 30-pound, clean. If we get him enough reps in the front side and prep and then prime, he might know, all right, I can't do this.
Exactly.
He's learned it before we started, right?
Yep.
On his own accord. He's like, I can't do this today. All right, cool, man. That's what we want. We want to have a little bit of understanding and all that. So
100%. Yeah, because it's one thing for us to tell them, right? It's like I'm doing 50 today, and if you didn't take them through that warm up, then it would have been this friction between you and that member. Like, hey, dude, I think you should go 35. Why? I could do the 50, and then he does like one rep kind of in front of you, and you're like, I get it, dude, but that's just been one, right? Like, but to your point, when you build that up and then you break that movement down, they will come to that conclusion. They're like, oh shit, you were right, dude. When we just did like those dozen reps, just kind of warming up, that 35 was like way heavier than it.
And I'm sure you got it too. I'm sure, and all the coaches on here are watching. They all have that athlete that knows that they can do it, or they feel that they can do it. But then 2 minutes into the workout, they're stripping the bar down, or they're getting, they're walking to the rack and getting a lighter weight. So giving them the opportunity to decide on their own can be helpful as well. Again, some days are more structured for that. Like this is one 15-minute AMRAP, so you can really dive into a little bit more coaching nuance versus, hey, we're doing a strength piece, 20 minutes, and then a 15-minute AMRAP. All right. So there's time and place for all, but yeah, for sure.
Yes. And then this is great. So now, and I like how we kind of, you kind of triaged in whether it was a kind of intentional or it just ended up flowing this way. You actually broke down and built up in the same order as that the workout's going to run.
Yeah.
So that was like a nice flow there. We got the burpees, got some efficiency, we got some practice with it. Same with this. And if you guys remember from the get-go, looks like we're about to start the workout now. Lunges were in Samson stretch. They were also the backward reverse lunge that we saw him put into the warm-up. And then we saw a little bike and a little row. So all those movers of the lunge and everything was also primed and ready to rock. And if you would have had somebody who was unstable or had a knee thing or whatever during that lunge, he would have known before we even got to this point, which was just a quick, hey guys, we're lunging here. Here's the standard of it, whatever you kind of gave, right? But not a ton of time needed to be spent in that portion of it because you had already built it in at the beginning.
Yep.
And that's one thing that, and so I skipped around on this, but I really wanted to watch this live with you. So that way I could kind of just give any.
No, it's cool because it's the first time I've seen it too. So.
Yeah, it's awesome. Just to give some general feedback. But to be honest, dude, I mean, a lot of the stuff that takes the experience over time, we'll just let this play as we kind of round out the conversation. But a lot of the stuff that you were talking about here is nuance, and it takes some time and experience to get it. And so that's why I really love the way you built this class up by being out ahead of yourself. There was no wasted fluff. You didn't add in something to like kill time into here, right? Like everything was intentional. And just as I can note this, and I'm so glad that you did it. One thing that we noticed is there was like the 3, 2, 1, go, and Matt is all over the place. He's already moved through the thing. He's already giving instruction. You could see up. I think we're like a minute into this, less than a minute into this, right? So like we're already like hammering it out. Okay, guys, here's what we need to do. Here's making some last minute corrections. Oh, is that just a walkthrough? It looked like maybe.
Yeah, that was just a walkthrough, just a last minute primer.
Perfect. Yeah. So even
this way
even
they
better.
got it rock and roll. There's no mistake now. There's no, everybody's got it. Of course, there's always somebody that doesn't have it, but
right, there's always one. It doesn't matter what you do, no matter what you do. Yeah, so that was awesome. And then now what does it look like? A little bathroom water break is occurring here?
Yep.
Yeah. This is great. You know what's cool is like obviously we didn't have a pre-conversation about how you run your classes or anything. But I think that there's certain frameworks and principles that apply to a lot of classes that naturally should happen. And what we saw here was the flow of it. Now we have a primer. Then there was some time for a break here. And all of that stuff is the same way that I run my classes. I like to take them through the flow of it first so you can kind of, get everything figured out, take out any last minute jitters here. So what'd you have them do for this walkthrough specifically?
I think I just had them do like, if I remember correctly, let me look at my notes. It was like, I think it was 3 sets, every minute 30. We did, I think it was 3 lateral burpees, maybe 4 dumbbell clean and jerks, some walking lunges.
And then the walking lunge is
Yeah.
perfect.
So this way they're not overdoing it, but they're getting a feel for it. Maybe they need to know, okay, at that point we can lower the dumbbell down.
Yep.
But yeah, so now they're warmed and ready to go. So I think
And
I
I love-
started it at the 38-minute mark, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I think maybe a few minutes earlier. I was just trying to look at my timeline.
Yeah, I think the main clock running.
I don't
on
even,
the
yeah, I
second
don't right
is
now. I don't even. Are
20
we on
minutes
the,
in.
Can you see the clock back there? Does it say?
Yeah, you got it looks like 1930 something, or it's right
On the
about to turn
left
to
clock over there, the left
yeah,
clock.
it's right about to turn to 20 minutes, I believe.
Okay.
So yeah, right now you hit the 20-minute
Yeah.
mark.
That's what we're doing. So we did that every 3 or every minute 30. So it's total of 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Just get them a little bit enough to feel the prime, get the engine up, get the motor running. Not give them too many reps, obviously.
Right.
But I think, obviously for this workout, there's 2 options, right? For 90% of the people, because it's the open. But if there's not, right, it's training. So we want to give them an opportunity. Maybe 50 is too much. Maybe 35 is too little. 40 for the intended stimulus of this, which is one thing I didn't go over, but it was the open workout. So for all you coaches out there, right, we want to talk about the intended stimulus at the whiteboard or before we start. But this I felt was different because it's the open, just go.
Yeah, I agree. There is that.
I don't
That is
know.
the kind of the time of year that we do something similar, like almost when you're kind of halfway in between a weight or something. And I know that they're capable. I'll kind of encourage them to go for the open,
Yeah.
whichever that open one is, right? Or if they know that they're not quite at that weight, I might even encourage them to hit the scale, go a little harder, hit it a little
Yeah.
faster, and then see what we could get. But yeah, I kind of do that too. There's little nuances around the open workouts. We'll make some adjustments there. But yeah, so this is great. So everybody's on their bathroom water break there. I also like to, if you guys know, like we got the time running in the past. So they've had about 3 minutes now since that last walkthrough, which is a great time because now their heart rate might have come up a little bit during those 3 sets with that primer. But that's important because I'd rather have their heart rate elevate a little bit than give them a couple minutes to chill, but not enough to where they cool back down, which tends to happen a little bit in the instructional period, right? They're moving the whole time, but it's not the same. Like we haven't really primed the heart and lungs. So that's why I also use little walkthroughs or primers before the workout, just to retouch on everything we learned, give any last minute instruction, but then also allow that heart rate to kind of elevate, kick back up, get the body ready for work, quick little break, and then we get after it.
Love it.
So this is awesome, man. And then looks like we got the 3, 2, 1, go. Everybody's getting after it now. And this is good too. Like again, just to go back to the presence, you're circling around. Looks like we're gonna get the music cranked up here, right? Like we're rolling. And it's good. I'm the same way. Like I do laps in the gym when my class is going. Just swimming circles around him. I always kind of call it. But yeah, I just got to keep moving. Very present, focused throughout the whole class, which is huge.
I think one thing too is a lot of newer coaches, and again, you were probably the same way. We're all guilty of this, but you kind of just get stuck in the corner. It should be at the end of the hour, you should be pretty exhausted. I feel anyway, mentally walking around, just like staying focused and watching and seeing correctly. Even if you're a new coach, watch everybody move all the time. If you want to get better at your craft, even if you're in your own class and you're one of the coaches at the gym, watch everybody move. Always be you can always pick up. The more you see, the more you can kind of, oh yeah, okay, I see it now, and that kind of stuff. And that's one thing I would share with other coaches is that was shared to me is just continue to just be on the floor and be present and watching all the time.
Great advice. And obviously here you're very focused on the class and everything else, which is good because like what I always tell people is like, you don't want to get to the workout, deliver a great class, hit play on the music, and then just disappear.
Yeah.
Right. Like you want to be able to, and then going back to the lipness test, if somebody walked into the room right now and did not know who the coach was, would we know that Matt was a coach? absolutely. Yes. And I promise he's not being that aggressive. This is at 2x speed. So he's not all over her like that.
I bet some of the members would argue that no, he's normally that aggressive.
You're like, no, it doesn't matter what speed he's at. That's how he does it. But I love that. He was like, you were relentless with it. You went by the first time with this specific member here. You gave her the cue. You pointed at the hips. You drove it. You also gave a verbal. We could tell what you were coaching here. She hit it. You kind of moved on. You came back on a larger rep, and we were reminding her, use those legs, use those legs. And you stood there and you stood engaged with her until you got her to do what you wanted her to do. And I want to make a lot of the newer coaches sometimes will give a correction and then we'll turn a walk away before they even watch that member actually do what they wanted him to do. Right.
Yeah, for sure. And, a lot of times too, you'll give a cue and it may cause another error or another fall. Right.
Great
so
point.
If you got to watch it because, you might say, hey, dip and drive. And next thing you know, her butt goes back, her chest drops or whatever it may be. She's out in the toe. She got muted hip for the dip and the drive. So, keeping that eye on there. It's like, oh shoot, that didn't work.
100%, dude. And that goes back to like what you had said before. Like the more movement I'm watching, the more I'm going to know that. Like you knew right off the bat, like, hey, you might give them dip and drive. They might dip and drive, but then you might have the new problem of that torso coming forward while they do it.
Oh yeah.
So
you see that a lot, right?
Yes, absolutely.
Oh, you're doing great. Here we go. Nope. What happened?
Yeah, this is excellent. We'll kind of pull towards the end of it here. Everybody's grinding it out.
Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
Awesome.
So Matt has ramped up here. Like we are almost to the end of this. He is still heavily engaged in the workout. Even get a little shout out to the young member to the side in the stroller over there. Same things I do. Super engaged. And it looks like boom, we are done. And that's a wrap. Awesome.
Sweet.
Circle the room, engaging with everybody. Yep. Beautiful.
A little high five action, right?
That's right. And this is like a really like underutilized time a lot too for just general discussion with your members afterwards, right? So like let's go to the fact of like, let's say somebody was saying, hey, I was dealing with a shoulder thing. Matt gave him an adjustment on there to keep him moving through the workout. Great time to come back over. Hey, Joe, how'd that work out with the shoulder? Was that okay? Did that go well for you? What are you thinking in the future? In different check-ins with the members like that.
Yeah, it's nice in here in Florida. It's not hot at all and not humid. So like a little post-workout walk. So I try to get the group together and go walk together so then they can collaborate and commiserate and all that kind of stuff. So
awesome.
That's what we're doing right now. Getting them together and going for a nice walk. Because in about 2 months, it's going to be too damn hot here.
And I love that too, because like you said, everybody's kind of catching their breath. They're all kind of talk about the workout, which part sucked for you, which part sucked for me. But that is the essence of like building the community. And that's 100% like finding those ways to do it. Just like we started this conversation, Matt didn't want to come in hot, like, shut up, don't talk to each other. We're starting the class, right? You allow a little bit of it. You kind of be playful with it, bring them in, and then you set up a situation for it to happen again. So awesome. Let's get in. Let's see what he's saying.
Out the door on a cool down walk at 9:53. Nailed it.
Boom. 9:53. Perfect. So yeah, man, that was a.
Hey, can I ask you a question, Suze?
Yeah,
you
please.
guys do a lot of cool downs at your gym?
So it's one of the things that we've definitely like worked on. It's class dependent. I would say that we have, when you come out the bay door, we have like about 100-meter little walk. So we really push that. That's kind of like our cool down. We do tend to get some people over onto some foam rollers or different things like that, or we'll definitely suggest it. Getting them to like sit down and like do it is always a little bit of an uphill battle, especially if you're coaching that very next class, right? Because like you saw, like 9:53, perfect time, gave them plenty of time so they could catch their breath, they could clean up their equipment, and they're not having to run right out the door at the end of that hour. So typically through that time and different stuff like that is when I'll kind of say, hey, grab a foam roll or do it. But it is tough if you also are coaching that next class, because then by then they're coming in, you're engaging with them, maybe engaging with the members that are just leaving, trying to get it. But yeah, we definitely try to allow opportunity for it and push it when we have time.
I think that's sometimes the hard part too, is not every class has enough time at the end. And I feel like I get guilty as the next. And I'm like, man, I wish I had enough time to at least kind of debrief for like 3 minutes and maybe stretch a little bit. But mostly it's just, and a lot of times it's not. And then I get frustrated with myself. It's like, man, I need to,
Yep. Yep.
So.
But all in all, man, I must say that that was a very well coached class. I wasn't sure. Like, I had you as the first one, and I was pretty confident because I was like, okay, I've seen this guy comment a lot. Like, I've seen him do stuff. Like, I know he knows what he's doing.
He's got diarrhea of the mouth in the chat, buddy. So he better come strong if he's
yes. But I also knew that you knew what you were doing, and as an L3 and stuff, so I thought it was the perfect one to jump off. Because basically, I think too, in one of the messages, you're like, yeah, you go ahead and just ass pound me on the class. Like, I'm comfortable with it. Like, let's just go for it. I'm like, awesome. But yeah, first and foremost, thank you for the time today and taking the time to film and record that. That was great. And I knew that these type of shows aren't as sexy as like CrossFit's being sold, but I really think that these will provide value to affiliate owners. I hope they do, value to coaches, and just give people a different perspective on how people coach and what's important and the threads of similarities between gyms, and also maybe some new things that you could pick up too.
Yeah, and I think too, like I remember, what was it? I think Chuck Carswell told me one time, or a long time ago during a seminar, was like, "Hey, great coaches steal, right? So if you find something that works, it doesn't matter who created it, as long as it gets athlete A to point B and gets them to move better or get more out of it. It doesn't matter who made up with the cue. Steal everything. It doesn't matter, right? At the end of the day, all we're trying to do is get Susie or Johnny fitter and better." And so a lot of it too is just sharing that stuff. I know I wouldn't be here doing this for 14 years now if it wasn't for other people sharing their nuggets and allowing me to make mistakes along the way and do stupid stuff on the floor, be the no rep Nazi for 4 or 5 years,
Yeah.
Instead of being a coach and saying, hey, let's do this to fix that. No, just no rep. No, that kind of stuff. So yeah, and I think, as you guys had mentioned, rising tide raises all ships, and if we can do that and still get everybody to, be a little bit better in our gyms, it's going to create more long-term affiliate members. I feel really.
That's right. I couldn't agree more. And just before we take off here, any parting words for any coaches out there? Any recommendations on readings? Is there any place people can follow you to find you?
If you guys have not, I know I did. I've been to a lot of different seminars. I think you should really participate. Definitely take your L2. If you have any desire to coach at all, definitely do the L2. And then if you really, really want to understand about the methodology and all that, take the L3 and keep leveling up. I know Souza's always big about leveling up. I think it's good for coaches as well to keep challenging us. I'm eventually going to take the L4. I don't know if there's any courses yet, but still trying to improve my craft because I make mistakes all the time. We all do because we're human, but trying to continue to do that. But I would say definitely the L2. Take side courses. The gymnastics course is awesome. I haven't taken it in probably 7 years or so, but there's still stuff that I revert back in my head that I use all the time to help teach gymnastics or creating progressions from that, right? Because there's steps, especially gymnastics, I feel it's a lot, can be harder to teach gymnastics with progressions than teaching somebody how to do a power clean.
Yep.
Because you just throw a PVC in their hand and you're like, all right, you can do multiple steps. But gymnastics can be a little bit harder. And having those tools in your tool belt to share and create that and building those progressions is something that I think it helps all coaches and even the athletes, right? So become better at that. So
yeah, awesome, dude. And thank you so much. I mean, really got to credit you with the idea.
Hopefully we can do it again.
Yeah, absolutely. And if anybody out there also wants to do this, I'm doing this open forum style. So like your barrier to entry is essentially just record your class.
Yeah.
If you could up the audio a little bit like Matt did with the little lapel so we could catch the whiteboard debrief, would be awesome. But you basically saw the flow of it here. We're going to go through and just break that down, utilizing the lesson plan developed through the L1 and the L2, like you guys see over on your right-hand side of your screen, left-hand side of your screen, whichever way it is.
One thing too I would also add is go back and use the L1 progressions until you get a chance to have enough tools in your tool belt to create your own progression from step A to step Z. whatever that may be, use those because it's all best practices that they're implementing. It's not that you have to use that, but it works for so many people. And that's why they share it in the L1 and the L2 is because they work. You
Yep.
know, like something teaching the push jerk. Hey, jump and land, jump punch land. It sounds silly, but it's the basic stuff. And it really helps to teach something basic like that. Until you get the nuances of all the stuff, definitely start with the basics. Learn the progressions, the step from A to Z. Yeah, go from there.
That's great advice because those progressions are really
Yeah,
great
dude.
and they've already given you the path. So like as you memorize that, it's going to show you where to
100%.
look, how to correct. And then like to Matt's point, as you become more developed, you're going to be able to veer off. You could do the weave, right? So you could start to veer around and like then come back to it and you know where you are in your progression of movement to get them to where you want them to be.
100%. And all those coaches that put that together are all better than we are anyway.
Yeah, exactly.
I strive to be as good as those guys, you know? And
100%.
and so they did the work for us. Now you just use them and implement it. And then you can break it off. Use your type of coaching style to get them to do whatever movement you want, right? And whatever works at the end of the day. So, but definitely learn that.
Completely agree. Awesome. Well, thank you, brother.
Brother, I appreciate the time. That was a lot of fun. Hopefully we'll get somebody else on here.
Yes,
and,
sir.
Do it again sometime.
Awesome, dude. Thank you so much. Appreciate the time, and I'll be seeing you soon, man.
See you soon,
Stay
buddy.
in touch. All right, bro. All right, guys. So just like you heard at the end of that, if you want to do this as well, just record your class, find a way to record it. It doesn't need to be the best thing ever. What Matt did, which made it super easy, is he just uploaded it on YouTube. If you want to do that same exact thing, you could do it. You could set it as an unlisted video. Therefore, it won't be public ahead of time. Although once we play it on here, everybody's going to see it. So, but if you want to join me on the show and review one of your classes that you coached, shoot me a DM, get it uploaded, and then I'll get you scheduled on here. I kind of want to make it like the classroom breakdown and review, almost like Kill Taylor style. You just don't win any money, but it's completely open for anybody who wants to do it. Somebody asked earlier, sorry, I forgot to get to your question about the call-in line. Eventually, I'll get my call-in line fixed and put back up here, but for now, no call-in. And just to give a shout out, we got CrossFit Virgin, cool. Nicole, Napster, awesome. All these new members, it's really cool. Sarah Harris, hi. Julian, what's up? Kyle, Ryan, Katie, Willis. Somebody else came in. Christine Young, awesome. So, I know we had some issues kind of with the behind the scenes stuff, like whatchamacallit. It was up for a day, it was down for a day. Some people bought it, missed that first episode. I think we're gonna have episode 2 maybe up for 24 hours. I missed Sevon's call from the podcast. I was coaching my class, so I didn't see it till I was done this morning. But I'll chat with him about it. We'll make sure that if you were a member there, you guys have all the information necessary to watch all the behind the scenes. Kenneth, I was able to watch behind the scenes episode 1. Okay, cool. You see, you also, Kenneth, watched, I think, when I did the Kill Taylor show, and I talked a little bit about some of the behind the scenes. So this first behind the scenes, I think it was like 45 minutes. It was super heavy with a lot of athletes checking in and that kind of stuff. The next 2 episodes get crazy once the events start. So, and they're a little bit tighter. They're shorter episodes and it moves a little bit faster. So stay tuned. Hi, Emmanuel. Welcome to the very end of the show. If I could get a good angle and a mic, I'll record one of my classes next week. Awesome. Ernie, I'd be stoked if you did it, dude. And don't stress about the mic, man. Like you could probably do it just with the forward-facing mic on the camera as well. I'm just hoping that we get some people that are interested in it. I would love to do this, especially if you're a newer coach. Obviously, Matt's an L3, 14 years of experience. His class was solid. You know what I mean? But if you're a newer coach and you want to get some feedback on your stuff, don't be afraid. Like, it's not, the purpose of it isn't to criticize and make you feel bad about it. It's about just leveling all of us up in our coaching and delivering the best experiences we can in class. So I think I'm going to come back this afternoon and do a review of Pedro's show with the guy from B Sport. Maybe see if we could get Spin or Tyler or somebody to jump on that with me this afternoon. And we'll get into some of the drama. If not, I'll see you guys when I see you or next week. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hope you got something out of it. thanks again for Matt Burns for doing this and taking the time to record the class and basically come up with the idea. So we'll see you guys later. Have a good day. Bye-bye.